When Prince Harry released his memoir Spare in 2023, he did more than just lift the curtain on life behind palace walls. He invited the world into some of his most personal, unguarded memories. Among those stories was an unexpectedly tender portrait of his early encounters with Catherine Middleton, the woman who would one day become his sister-in-law, the Princess of Wales. It's easy to forget that long before the royal pageantry, titles, and tabloid drama, there was simply a young woman in love with a prince, meeting his younger brother at a party neither of them really wanted to attend. A light-hearted first encounter. Prince Harry recalled the moment he first met Catherine not in a gilded ballroom or official engagement, but in an ordinary, almost quirky setting. William had brought Harry along to a themed costume party, an event Harry admitted he wasn't exactly thrilled about. He didn't specify the theme in Spare, but you could almost picture the awkwardness of arriving at such a party in character, surrounded by unfamiliar faces. And yet, in that casual, somewhat odd moment, something genuine happened. Harry remembered being instantly charmed by the young woman his brother was dating. Carefree, sweet, kind. Those were the 3 words he used to describe her. Simple but sincere. They weren't words chosen for diplomacy or press releases. They were the kind of descriptors you only use when someone truly strikes you, not because of who they are on paper, but how they make you feel. Harry took note of her interests, photography, art, fashion, and even mentioned her time studying in Florence, Italy. It wasn't just a detail. It was a subtle recognition of her depth, her sense of culture, the kind of worldliness that perhaps made her stand out from the start. There was no pretense in his description, just honest admiration, a sister he never had. As time passed and Catherine's role in the royal family grew more defined, so too did her relationship with Harry. In Spare, he opened up about how he came to see her not just as his brother's partner, but as the sister he'd always longed for. That line alone feels loaded with emotion. A glimpse into Harry's heart, and perhaps the unspoken loneliness of growing up in the royal spotlight without a close-in-age sibling to share it with. He cherished making her laugh. In his telling, Catherine wasn't the polished public figure so often captured by camera flashes. She was someone who brought lightness and laughter into family life. Someone who made Sunday lunches less stiff. Someone who turned formal gatherings into moments of ease. That warmth was on full display during Prince William and Catherine's 2011 wedding, where Harry stood proudly as best man. His admiration didn't feel performative. He seemed genuinely happy that his brother had found a partner he trusted and adored. In Catherine, Harry saw not just a suitable match for William, but someone who felt right, someone who fit. For a while, the trio became a modern emblem of a more relatable monarchy. Young, smiling, full of promise. A shift in the winds. But as anyone who's lived through changing family tides can attest, closeness doesn't always last forever. In the years that followed, life introduced new complexities, especially after Harry met and married Meghan Markle. Spare does not shy away from the emotional terrain of that transition. What had once been a united front began to unravel. After Harry and Meghan's wedding in 2018 and their historic step back from royal duties in 2020, the narrative around the younger royals became splintered, not just in the media, but seemingly within the family itself. When Harry and Meghan moved to California, launching their Archwell Foundation and branching into media projects with Netflix and Spotify, the geographical and emotional distance grew. In their groundbreaking 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan took the opportunity to clear the air about a much-gossiped-about incident involving Catherine. The story had been twisted and magnified by tabloids, a supposed falling out over Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid dress. But Meghan revealed something different, that it was Catherine who had apologized afterward, and that Meghan had wholeheartedly accepted. There was no bitterness in the way she told it, just a desire to set the record straight. In doing so, Meghan echoed the same kind of grace that Harry had once recognized in Catherine, an ability to admit mistakes, to extend kindness, to move forward. Moments of grace amidst the fracture. Even amid moments of tension, both Harry and Meghan have made it a point to acknowledge kindness where it existed. In Spare, and in various public statements, Harry doesn't paint his family as villains. Instead, he shares fragments of human interaction, some painful, others hopeful. And when it comes to Catherine, that early affection doesn't appear erased. It lingers, like the warmth of a familiar melody you haven't heard in years, but still recognize when it plays. Maybe that's what makes these recollections so powerful. Not because they're royal, but because they're real. Families change. People grow apart. But memory has a way of holding onto the good, even when the present feels complicated. New roads, new roles. As Harry and Meghan leaned into their new lives across the Atlantic, focusing on mental health, storytelling, and social impact, William and Catherine stepped further into their roles as senior royals under King Charles III. Their presence in public life intensified, with initiatives centered around early childhood development, mental well-being, and climate change. Catherine, in particular, has emerged as a symbol of steadiness and compassion. Her diplomatic poise, her ability to connect across generations, has only deepened her standing with the British public. While Harry and Meghan forged a new path that defied tradition, William and Catherine upheld it, reshaping the monarchy from within. The contrast between the couples couldn't be more striking, and yet, both seem to be driven by purpose. Out of sight, not out of mind. Although Harry and Catherine haven't been seen side by side in recent years, interest in their story hasn't waned. Every time a royal engagement takes place, whether it's Trooping the Color, Remembrance Sunday, or a palace banquet, eagle-eyed watchers still wonder, will the family reunite? It's a question that speaks to something deeper than gossip. It's about longing, for healing, for reconnection, for the fairy tale image the world once saw in those younger royals who laughed together at Olympic events and shared inside jokes at charity galas. Families, especially ones as public as the Windsors, live under a microscope. But they are still just that, families, capable of love, disagreement, change, and, perhaps someday, reconciliation. When we left off, we were sitting with that lingering question. What becomes of a family once so tightly braided together when life tugs its strands toward different continents, different callings, different kinds of public duty? To follow the story forward, we trace the two parallel arcs that took shape after 2020. Harry and Meghan, building a life beyond the palace gates. When the Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepped back from formal royal work in 2020 and later put down roots in California, they didn't fade from view, they redesigned the way they would show up. Archewell became their hub. A philanthropic foundation, a storytelling studio, and a platform for grant-making that leans into community resilience, mental health, digital well-being, and rapid support in times of crisis. Through Archewell Productions, they've developed documentary and scripted projects under a multi-year agreement with Netflix. Their past audio partnership with Spotify extended their conversational reach, and their publishing work, Harry's memoir Spare Among It, has come through Penguin Random House. The through line is intentional. Use media to amplify lived experience, then connect it to action. Public debate often swirls louder than the work itself. Headlines parse tone, timing, wardrobe, even posture. Yet beneath the commentary runs a steady current in the Sussexes' messaging. Personal testimony can create space for collective healing. Harry has long advocated for mental fitness among veterans and first responders. Meghan has spoken candidly about motherhood, identity, and the emotional cost of relentless scrutiny. Together, they argue that speaking openly about strain does not weaken institutions. It humanizes them and maybe helps someone at home feel seen. William and Catherine, steadfast in service. Across the Atlantic, the rhythm is different but just as demanding. Under King Charles III, William and Catherine have assumed an expanded slate of ceremonial and charitable responsibilities as the Prince and Princess of Wales. Their calendar stretches from investitures and military commemorations to hospital wards, school classrooms, and diplomatic walkabouts abroad. Catherine has become closely identified with championing the critical first years of life, elevating research that links early childhood development to long-term health, learning, and social outcomes. She remains an advocate for mental well-being and continues to lend visibility to environmental sustainability efforts alongside broader royal initiatives. Observers often remark on her composure. The same easy warmth Harry once noticed now honed by years of public expectation. She can kneel beside a preschooler's finger-painted masterpiece in the morning and greet heads of state in evening dress that night. That range has helped cement her as a key figure in modern royal diplomacy and day-to-day service. Someone whose empathy reads clearly both on camera and in crowded town squares. Different roads, shared spotlight. Because these two couples embody contrasting expressions of 21st century royal identity. One working within the institution, one reshaping life just outside its formal structure. They remain locked in comparison. A new Archwell grant in California is weighed against a youth center visit in Cardiff. A Netflix trailer drops and is immediately discussed beside footage from Trooping the Color. Remembrance Sunday images are replayed alongside podcast clips recorded under West Coast sunshine. The comparison machine never sleeps. And still, Harry and Catherine have not appeared publicly together in recent years. Geography matters. So do workloads, security considerations, and the natural boundary setting that comes as families grow. Anyone who has watched siblings marry and move knows the drift. Global fame only multiplies it. Yet the memory Harry preserved, the reluctant younger brother at a costume party, meeting the woman his brother loved and walking away thinking, she's carefree, she's sweet, she's kind. Hangs in the air like a photograph tucked in a drawer you can't quite throw away, holding onto the human thread. Why does their story resonate so deeply with audiences in the United States and the United Kingdom? Perhaps because it reflects something familiar. Families negotiating change under pressure. An apology offered and accepted, like the one Meghan said came from Catherine after tension over Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid dress before the Sussex wedding. Lands differently when the world is watching, but the emotional math is the same as in any living room. People try, they misstep, they repair. They try again. Those flashes of grace matter. They remind us that affection doesn't always disappear when circumstances strain it. Sometimes it simply waits for safer weather, sorting fact from echo. In an era when a rumor can lap the globe before breakfast, grounding our understanding in verifiable sources is essential. If you want to know what Harry actually said about Catherine, turn to Spare, where he wrote it himself. If you want Meghan's account of the days leading up to the 2018 wedding and her clarification of what really happened with the bridesmaid dress, revisit the 2021 Oprah Winfrey interview and hear her words in context. For current statements, go to official channels. The Archwell Foundation site for Sussex projects. Kensington Palace Communications for the Wales's work. Verified social media accounts and formal press releases for updates tied to engagements and initiatives. Starting with first-hand material doesn't silence commentary. It strengthens it. Once the record is clear, interpretation can add insight instead of confusion. Ask the basic questions. Who spoke? When? Was it quoted accurately? Has a later statement revised the timeline? These habits help separate meaningful reporting from the echo chamber of speculation and anonymous whispers. Reporting with care. Royal coverage shapes public empathy. When media reduces individuals to caricatures, hero, villain, schemer, we lose the layered reality of parents, siblings, veterans, advocates, human beings carrying grief and duty in unequal measure. Thoughtful storytelling respects disclosures about mental health, avoids inflaming private disagreements for clicks, and credits charitable work even when bigger narratives loom. For creators speaking to US and UK audiences, modeling that fairness builds trust. Cite the memoir, reference the interview, check the palace statement, then invite viewers to weigh the human stakes. Looking forward. No one outside the tightest family circle knows when Harry, Meghan, William, and Catherine might next share meaningful time in public, or whether any reconciliation will unfold quietly, off-camera, years from now. Perhaps a milestone royal anniversary will draw them together. Perhaps a private family need will do it sooner. Whatever the timing, the past still whispers. A themed party that broke the ice. A spring wedding where a younger brother steadied an heir's nerves. An apology that crossed an awkward moment and was received with grace. Families stretch. Sometimes they fray. Sometimes they mend with new seams that prove stronger for the strain. If we hold on to the words Harry chose long ago, carefree, sweet, kind, we hold on to the possibility that respect can outlast distance, and that history, honestly remembered, can become a bridge. That, more than any headline, is the story worth telling.